Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So I am continuing my Fill the World series where I build houses on all of the empty lots in each of EA's worlds. So this week we are back in Windenburg again, and this is actually the last empty lot left to do in Windenburg. It's the 20 by 20 lot on the island. It's called Mid-Nowhere, and I've decided to build a small, modern cabin, I guess you could say. So this is actually the third house that I've built on this lot. I really struggled with this. I wanted to do something, that matched the area around it. And a lot of the other houses on this island are a little bit more modern, but not super modern. They're kind of, I guess you would say, more contemporary, but a lot of them have a lot of natural wood. They're not the contemporary where everything is very sterile and concrete looking. A lot of the houses have wood paneling, and it kind of makes me feel like they're using a lot of the environment around them to create the house. And then there's obviously there's the one house that's I think supposed to be the original house for the island. I believe, is it where the Villarreal family lives? I don't remember, but there's one house that's very old looking, so I could have gone that route, I suppose, but I wanted to kind of match the other smaller houses on the island, so I guess this makes a little bit more sense to do. But I am not much of a modern builder. I'm learning, I would say. I'm definitely improving, but as far as coming up with my own floor plans and styles, it's just not something that comes very easily to me, with modern builds anyways. So this is actually based off of a picture that I found on Pinterest, because that's how I can come up with ideas as far as more modern or contemporary styled builds go. So, which was kind of a fun challenge because I don't tend to build based off of pictures of real life houses very often. So far I seem to do that the most with modern builds, but as a general rule of thumb, it's not something I necessarily enjoy doing or want to do a whole lot of. So this was kind of a fun and different kind of challenge for me to be able to do it this way. So I enjoyed it a lot, and because, obviously, if you're coming up with something off of the top of your own head, you're at a lot of, you're a little bit more freedom to kind of tweak things and play with things a little bit. But if you're trying to base something off of a picture of a real life house, even though we have a ton of objects and stuff in The Sims 4 at this point, it can be a little tricky sometimes to find things that work. So at the end of the video in the screenshots, I will show you, I have 2 exterior shots of what the original house looks like. And hopefully that'll help you kind of piece together things that I'm doing here, this weird little, wooden alcove off to the side. I was alright, I've never done anything like that before in my life, but I like it. It's a really cool idea, but it also was kind of difficult to do in The Sims. There are just some things in The Sims that are by nature going to be more difficult to do or tricky to figure out how to make them work. Just because we don't have the full range of what you can do in real life. For example, I see this all the time in real life houses. They'll have the kitchen island instead of being the countertop stops at the top. They'll have kind of a waterfall effect where the counter edge kind of goes over the side of the flat top part of the counter and goes down the side. I don't know. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but that's something that's in the original real life version of this house, and we don't really have a way to do that in The Sims 4. So things like that, you just kind of have to be creative or find an alternative solution or just go without. So that was kind of fun. I actually have 2 screenshots of the inside of the house as well. But for some reason, when I was editing this video, they didn't show up correctly. They showed up with the colors inverted, and I I tried changing the file format, and nope, I re-downloaded them. I completely deleted them out of the video file and put them back in again. Nothing. I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to get them to work. So eventually I just decided we'll just have the 2 pictures of the outside of the house, because that's honestly the most important part anyway, and that'll be that. But yeah, so just know that the actual like inside of the house I replicated off of a picture as well. I don't have pictures of like the bedrooms and bathrooms, but there was also like a floor plan given on the website, because so I found this on Pinterest, but it linked to like a builder's website where you could like look at house floor plans, which, oh, I love looking at house floor plans. It makes me so happy. Like, and this is how I've been since, weirdly enough, since I was a small child. Like, one of my favorite things to do growing up was to take a plain piece of paper and just sketch out all sorts of house floor plans. And I don't know, I've always found it to be really interesting. For a while I thought maybe I should go into architecture, and then I realized that it's a lot less fun to do that in real life, because there's like, you know, building codes and like budget restrictions, and I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound so fun to me. I'll stick to building in The Sims, thanks. But yeah, I don't know. I just looking at floor plans and looking at all the unique ways that people have their houses laid out just makes me really happy. And so that is something I enjoy doing in my free time. Also because I don't know that I've always been a great floor plan person in The Sims. Like, I'm getting better. But, you know, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm a big believer in that you never stop learning, as long as you want to continue learning, that is. So, for me, I'm gonna keep on improving and learning and changing and growing and all those things until I stop playing The Sims, which I don't know will ever happen. Because, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Life is kind of boring to, like, stop learning, like, just because you're done with school or whatever, you know? Like, I don't know. That's just me, though. But, yeah, so, if there are, like, weird pauses and stuff throughout this video, like, in the playing back of it, it's because I was looking at, like, reference pictures, trying to, like, get things right. I mean, like, even down to, like, the colors of objects, I tried to replicate as much as I could. I think the original house has a wooden dining table instead of glass, but I didn't really like the look of a lot of the wooden dining tables that we have. Like, there is that oh boy. There's a really long one from Cats and Dogs that has a little bit more of like a rustic timber kind of vibe, and that's really what I was looking for. But it was also like a 3x1 instead of a 2x1. And I didn't want that. I wanted a 2x1 size table because that's like about what they have in the original pictures. So, you know, there were some small changes that were made. But yeah, I like this house a lot. I think it's really pretty, and it's very different from anything that I've built before. Even like, I would say it's even different compared to a lot of the modern houses that I've built. Because when I've done modern houses before, I tend to make them like 2-story or really large. Because a lot of times, I don't know, I see modern houses that are really impressive to me, and they're always like really large. Whereas this is like, it's a little bit more subdued. I think it really fits this lot really nicely. And it suits the other houses around it, because a lot of, like, there's the house that, what's his name? Joaquin Lucien and Sergio Romeo, I think, are the two who live there. That house is also on the smaller side. So I feel like, you know, there's like a good range of like lot sizes in this particular neighborhood. And the existing like modern houses are like small to medium size. They're not like huge modern mansions, which is typically the more modern houses that I've tended to build in the past, because I want to do something that's impressive looking, and bigger houses tend to be more impressive looking for whatever reason. So, but yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a nice little house. I think it's very playable. The only thing that I'm like, kind of like maybe not so playable is the fact that the door to the backyard is through the master bedroom, but that's how it was in the floor plan, so that's what I went with. But in all honesty, I guess as long as there's like nobody like sleeping or woohooing in there, probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. The other thing is that in the original like real life house, those black windows along the back that have like the vertical slats kind of dividing them, that's actually a roll-up garage door, which I've seen that actually, not this year, but the last couple of years I've gone to our local Parade of Homes, and that's been like a newer trend that I'm starting to see more in houses, and I really like it. It's a really nice idea, because then it kind of creates like a nice like indoor-outdoor flow, I guess you could say. And although I personally tend to enjoy indoors more, I like viewing nature from a safe distance. Let's put it that way. And I think too, like especially if you're entertaining people, like if you have a party or something, like that would be so handy to just have like one big indoor-outdoor room. So, that way then people don't feel like too isolated. I don't know. I think about these things, which is funny because it's not like I host a ton of parties or anything, or have really been to many parties. I mean, like, I don't know. I went to some parties like in high school, but they were marching band parties, so they were very different from like high school parties that you would see like in TV shows and movies. Like our band directors were there, and oh my gosh, and they were always like very well chaperoned. I remember, so one of my friends, she had like a slightly larger house when we were in high school, and so every year she would host one of the band parties, because we had a band party every weekend after every competition, which was really nice. And so every year she would host a party at her house once a season. And her parents were like, she was an only child, so like her parents would have like really strict rules for her. Like I always thought my parents were like on the stricter side of things, but compared to my friends' parents, like they were pretty tame. So they had like a scheduled rotation for the chaperones, like the parent chaperones at the party, and like they would have to like change stations like every 30 minutes and stuff, and like like once an hour, they could take like a 5-minute break to like go get something to drink or run to the bathroom or something. I mean, like, it was an incredibly efficient way of chaperoning, which is just like, it's so funny because it's like we were a bunch of high school band kids. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that nothing ever happened at these parties, but like, compared to most high school parties, nothing ever happened at these parties. Like, they were so tame. Like, the most exciting thing I think that ever happened was like sometimes people would have like a hot tub and people would get in the hot tub together and not do anything because we were a bunch of high school band kids. So, but yeah, so I don't know. So I always think like, I don't know, or like looking at houses in real life, I'm like, oh, well, like this is a nice part of town, and but the parking would be really difficult if you had people over, or like, people who live on like a busier street where they don't allow street parking. And I'm like, well, where will your guests park? Which is like, it's funny because I think outside of like parents and immediate family members, I think we have like a party at our house maybe once or twice a year, maybe, if that. I mean, like, it's not like we're throwing parties all the time, but I'm always like, oh, but the parties. You have to factor in the party. So, but anyways, so point being, this house would probably be pretty good for parties because there's like this big open living room area, although there isn't an actual stereo in the house, which there wasn't one in the pictures ahead of time, like when I was looking at it, so I didn't put one in, but I mean, you know, there's plenty of space. Also, this is very cool. This house has a basement, which I never build houses with basements, but this house actually had a basement in the floor plan. So I was like, all right, I gotta follow the floor plan. So they had a basement, so I'm gonna give it a basement. And yeah, so the basement, like there's steps going down, like right inside the front door, but I didn't do anything else with it. I left the basement pretty much as is. So I figured, you know, like if you download this house and you want to put maybe a couple of extra bedrooms down there or turn it into a party room, like, you know, you could very easily do that. So the sky's the limit, but there is a basement, there's basement access, like it's cool. So yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, so this pool is a little bit smaller than the pool that's in the picture, but that's because the lot is a little smaller. And like I tried to replicate the existing pool furniture that they had in the picture, but again, we were dealing with a slightly smaller space back here, so not everything makes the cut, but I figured it's a nice little lap pool, you know? I mean, like, in all honesty, do your Sims really need like a giant pool when they have this size of a lot? And I know we can't actually like go swimming in the ocean, but in all honesty, this is like an oceanfront lot. So like, if we're talking about like practicality types of things, they could just go down to the beach. Like it's not that big of a deal. It's fine. It's totally fine. But yeah. So this is Modern Maison. I don't know what else to say here. It's a cute house. It's available for download on the Sims 4 gallery. So the easiest way to get to it would be by clicking the link in the description box below. Also, I don't know if I've already said this or not, but I'm also going to include a link to the original house, as you can see here. So then, you know, if you're curious, you can look at it and see. Also, the website that I found it on has a lot of cool houses. So if you're like me and you want to just kind of poke around and look at houses, feel free. But yeah, so the other way you can get to this house on the gallery is by searching either for my username, which is Mrs. Tomato 1018, or through the hashtag Mrs. Tomato 1018. Just make sure you change the filters on the side to say new, instead of like currently most popular or whatever, so that way then you'll actually see it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you can do so down below. I put up a new video 4 times a week. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!